after that setup, I know you from back in the day.
Yeah.
I know who you are. I know what you do. But you are a woman of many skills and talents. You do a lot of different things. How would you describe who you are and what you do?
The one question I didn't plan out in my head, it's such a hard question, Naz. So the question is, who am I and what do I do now? So I call myself, right, self-employed.
Okay.
And I do that because it lets me do anything I want to do, as long as it brings in a buck right now. But I think the name card might say, mindset coach. And I guess, again, it depends on who I'm speaking with. So with you, you'd know me to be somebody in more of the media space. If it's somebody who's wearing a suit and maybe a slightly faded white shirt and some bad shoes, I might tell them I'm in communications. So it really depends on who I'm
That's
speaking.
the hipster label, right?
Yes. And that's the non-hipster label. So it depends on who I'm speaking to as well. And literally some people will just glaze over when you throw out a word like mindset. They'll literally, they want a word they know about. So communications is a safe space.
I like it, man. And honestly, I know you for all things communications. I knew you starting off as a MC, an event host.
Yeah.
When you told off me and my friends for being late to an event.
Was that you guys? Until now, I feel really bad.
No, don't.
But I got over it.
Nothing. It was because we came early. Then no one was there. Wow, look at me trying to defend myself all these years.
20 years
Obviously,
later.
some unworked on therapy.
I remember that, and I don't usually do that. And I'd been told I was working with these young people.
Yeah.
And we know, Naz, in events, time is everything.
Oh, for sure.
And there's absolute utmost manners. And so I'd already been prepped that we were dealing with some, not specifically you, but there were a lot of youngsters. And we're big on work ethic. There's just simply no other way to work. And for them to come rocking up literally an hour late was not acceptable. And I think I was only in my 30s then. And I thought, okay, I have enough age to tell these youngsters that's how you gotta get it together.
Step up.
So let me just say, I'm really super sorry for that.
Don't be.
Because I want to be liked, you see. And that's a really big part of this, right? To be likable. But there are times you're like, you know what? That's not acceptable. And I'm getting better with that.
This whole to be liked thing, we're going to jump around a little bit.
Yeah.
The podcast is a bit flowy. Where do you think that stems from? Because I know with the work that I do, I'm a bit of a hoe for attention. And then when I think about it, like, why do I do these things? Where does it stem from? Because I do things which is all, look at me. I'm a radio DJ. Yeah. I do magic. Let's literally look at me.
Yes, right?
I used to skateboard when everyone else was playing football.
And that's a noisy little sport too, right?
For sure. And when I look back, it's like, why am I doing all these things? I'm like, I just crave attention. And I'm like, why do I crave attention? It's because I probably didn't get much attention from, daddy issues growing up.
Those
I'm jumping in deep. But where does yours come from, you think?
Wait, I don't even know if it is about wanting attention. As I feel sometimes maybe because of the way we work, and we've chosen the way we work because I like quick validation. I like to be rewarded. I'm like a puppy, man. I do something good. You got to give me my treat really fast. And if I'm not good enough, I'll get to that space where I need a treat. So I don't know if you've got that right. I don't know if you really want the attention or just the validation.
Okay.
And just to be able to be, okay, I've nailed it. Let's move on to the next thing. Could that be the thing?
Yeah, for sure, man. I could definitely see that. What was the plan growing up? Was this something you always saw yourself doing? Were these things that you were always doing? Like, how did it happen? I think everyone knows you as Jenny the DJ, Jenny the host, Jenny the presenter. Was that always the plan growing up?
I mean, and you're right, Naz. These are all really showy things. The good thing is I'm not a self-conscious person. Mm-hmm. I really am not, and I think that helps. I don't walk around and I'm aware of how I look or... That's very freeing, but also went to boarding school at the age of 9. And for some reason, my mum and dad made us have drama lessons, elocution lessons, hours and hours and hours of it. So we were like, again, trained seals. I don't even know if I like doing it, to be honest with you. Okay. But we were voice trained. We were competitively trained to take part in competitions all around the UK.
Which part of the UK were you guys based in?
So we were at a boarding school in Malvern. And then we would be going out every year to speech and drama competitions in Gloucestershire and all parts of the UK and competing with other children.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't even know if ever one time I thought, do I like this? We just did it. It was a very big part of our growing up. Be good at speech and drama. So
when you say growing, sorry to bother you there, but when you say we, big part of us growing up, are you talking about you and your...
Yeah, Paula.
Yeah.
I always say we, right? Because of the twin sister thing.
Yeah, I mean, just putting it out there. Just putting it out there.
That. Identical twin sister. There's two of us. Luckily, I am better looking. But I think that's modest too. And I think that's really it. Just the education and the expectations my mum and dad had. Did I like it? I don't know. I don't even know if I like it.
Was it the school that brought you to these competitions, or was it mom and dad that brought you to these competitions?
It was the schools.
Okay.
And mom and dad chose the school that would send me to those competitions.
Oh, so they had a plan.
Yeah. And I think it worked.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You're successful. People know you.
But back in the 70s and 80s, you wouldn't say, oh, when you grow up, you're going to be a DJ or newsreader. Although, Naz, I remember being in the boarding school and thinking I'd love to be a newsreader because I always got the narrator roles.
Okay.
The really safe, sit in the corner and read out stuff.
You've got a face for narration.
Yeah, so I was always stuck in the corner, and Paula would get the leading roles.
Oh, wow.
But I was always a narrator. And then I think we were in Annie or all these really great musicals, and she got great acting roles, and they would write in a role for me. Oh, she did audition. She tried really hard. Let's give her a maid role. So that was a kind of dynamic with speech and drama. I'm speaking, and she was always a little bit more in front of the camera doing theatrical stuff.
How did that make you feel?
Fine. I didn't want to do it anyway.
Okay.
Did not want to do it. Kind of like, woo. And Paula always wanted to be famous. It was a real North Star for her. So moving into her young adult years, she knew she wanted that. I didn't want that. I just liked to do what I was comfortable with, which was just speaking.
That's interesting because when I was living in the UK when I was 6, our school had speech and drama class as well.
Did you like it?
I don't know if I liked it or if I knew I could do it.
And you could do it.
Yeah, like I think because it was such an open space, it was such a free space to sort of just, like, hey, read this passage, and then.
And you found it easy.
Yeah, I found it natural, comfortable.
I wonder now, Naz, thinking about it, is there some kind of correlation between having some kind of a daddy issues, I'm wondering, and the ability to perform quite comfortably and publicly? Like, do you get self-conscious?
For sure. All the time. How do I look? How do I sound? Why are these people not clapping or laughing? Definitely. I think, I think for sure. I go through that all the time. I'm very insecure. And I think over the years, only over the last few years, I sort of figured out who I am, who I want to be, and what I want to do. So I think once I started finding out all of those, everything else sort of started to fall in place a little bit. I'm not saying I'm there yet.
Yes.
But I'm hopefully working towards that. And that's definitely a thing for me. I'm definitely insecure, but I'm also aware of who I am and what I want to be. So that sort of puts me on track a little bit more clearly.
Maybe that insecurity is really good for us, or good for you, good for everybody too, insofar as it just helps you to get better, right? And I know you're constantly reevaluating where you are in your career and your brand. It's constantly getting better.
I hope so.
And I think the insecurity probably plays a good part in that. You can't get complacent.
No, not at all.
You can't.
Yeah.
Nobody has arrived. The yardstick moves all the time, right?
Yeah. And I always feel, goals change, objectives change, you as a person change. So it's a constant evolution of who you are and what you want to be. But the ultimate goal is I want to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday. That for me is I think the North Star, as you put it, for Paula.
Do you think that's more because you are also self-employed, like you moved away from that alleged security of a corporate job?
Yeah.
Is it more so for people like us, do you think?
I think for me, I can't speak for you, but for me, I knew that as soon as I decided on this journey of being self-employed, I told myself, crap, I have no choice but to make it work.
Exactly.
I love the freedom so much. I don't think I could go through a office 9 to 5 again. I have no choice but to make it work. And now I've got a kid, so I've got a mouth to feed.
Yeah.
and I got to also make sure this guy doesn't turn into a supervillain. You know what I mean? So yeah, for me, for sure, I think that's also what helped me decide who I was and who I wanted to be, as a person, as a parent, as a business person, that's all.
But Naz, you could have just stayed radio DJing, but instead you kind of got into this whole content space.
Yeah.
Was that like something really consciously you did?
So I started off with not just content, right? For me, I just remember sitting at my desk at a financial institution, and I was looking over comms for this company. Comms, as some of the kids would say.
Right.
And I just remember we had a new managing director. Everything was put on hold. Marketing, comms, all that stuff were put on hold. And I just sat there coming to the office every day with no work to do. And I was wondering to myself, man, I can't go through this every single day of my life.
But wait, one
you don't
comment.
have to put your hands up.
one comment.
Yeah.
A lot of people would love that, Naz.
True.
I mean, to walk into an office.
True.
And some might argue that's the clever way to earn money. Why you want to bust a gut in a ball, killing yourself for $1.
Yeah.
So and that might be the smart way to work.
Yeah, for sure. And for some people, I'm sure that would be great.
And it's not the case for you because?
So I remember just sitting to myself and being like, man, I would love to just be a professional magician. I was already juggling magic, coaching, and freelance gigs at the same time. So
Not yet a DJ.
DJ already.
Already.
So I was like, man, it'd be so cool if I could just pursue this full time. If I could just quit my 9 to 5 and just focus on all the things that made me happy, all the things that made me, satisfied. And if I didn't take this jump, I would be this guy 5 years from now sitting at this computer table wondering, what if? And that was my big thing. What was it for you?
I was so caught up in your story there. What was it for me? I mean, again, when I came back from New York, I went to New York to do hotel management. And that is not even 9 to 5. That is like nonsense 12 to 12.
When was this in your life, Jen? So you were in UK, you're in boarding school.
Yeah.
Doing all the competitions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you ever come back to Brunei after that? What was the
So
deal?
we would come back holidays, and then we left the boarding school in England at the age of 12 and went straight into United World College in Singapore.
Okay.
So again, a college and a boarding school. And then from then on, daddy issues, couldn't go to university in England, which was I was really academic when I was little. I loved school and I was so excited to go to university. So the biggest disappointment for me was not being able to go to the UK university I had gone to. And it was a big shock for me. So mum said, why don't you go to UBD? And I was really mad at her for suggesting that.
Was Paula with you as well?
No, so she had sold everything in her bedroom, including her VCR player, to go to Singapore and work for an theatre arts company, to do acting.
Okay.
So she was always very motivated in a different way. I wanted to do university. I wanted to go into communications and media. Didn't happen, so I went to UBD. It wasn't as cool as it is now, back in the day. Did it for, I think, 3 years, and then elected to not finish the honors program because I got an offer to go to work in New York, to work for the hotel that was coming up back in the 90s, right?
Okay.
So I went there and I thought that was a dream, being in New York, and it was, really. But the hotel management life, there was something so soul-sucking about it.
For sure. I was banquet staff for a hotel at one point, and it is rough for peanuts.
Yeah.
I was the guy that was washing all the cups.
You were the busboy?
I was the busboy. I was also the servers for big banquet events and stuff like that at a hotel here. And I was just like, ooh, this is rough, and this is all I get at the end of the month. And it wasn't just something that I could feel fulfilled with and stuff. So it was the same for you at the hotel? Like, what was the deal?
So I was there for an international practical management training program to be completely trained up. So for a couple of years, and I was in the housekeeping department, which I liked. But I remember one day I had to get these rooms ready for name drop Paula Abdul, name drop Andy Garcia, name drop Patti LaBelle. And it was my job to inspect these rooms, right? And I remember peeling off some gum from the side of a notepad. You can't have gum on a notepad.
Like chewing gum?
No, like
or the adhesive?
The actual gum, the adhesive.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, this can't be. This can't be my life.
Yeah.
And obviously you plan to be a housekeeping manager, but that no brain kind of work for me was soul sucking. And
it just didn't give you value?
No, it just didn't feel important.
Yeah.
And in New York, there's a whole workaholic culture. You know, the more hours you work, the bigger hero you are. And I couldn't subscribe to it anymore. So I just kind of packed that up and came home. And that's when I joined Crystal, 2000.
What was that like then? Was that when it was still a container near where
We were
Bridex
still a
was?
container. There's only a few DJs. It was hard for me to get in. And I was like, what now? It was quite hard for me to be accepted. But I got in.
What made you sort of say, you know what, I want to be a radio DJ on Crystal?
I'd already done it before I went to New York. I was already with RTB.
Okay.
So we started the night shows and the phone-ins and stuff. So this is like 92, 93-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was 18 when I first started.
Okay.
And I knew I wanted to go back to it. I loved it. Again, that whole freedom. And when you speak to people, there's a connection, and throw in some music. Does it get better? Come on, it doesn't get any better than that, right?
Yeah.
And so I very, very mindfully decided to come back, and I knew how I wanted my day to run. I wanted to be on radio and do work in pieces and choose my day. And no, at those days I said I want to make $2,000. Mm-hmm. And then the next year would be like $3,000. So I was very, very mindful now. It's about how my day should be. And I cannot do 9 to 5.
So when you got back, you got on radio.
Yeah.
Were you already juggling? Were you planning on, or were you already juggling other things with it as well? Or was it just solely, I want to make 2 to 3K on radio alone?
No.
Or?
So it was all things like I did radio news at RTB, news reading on RTB's TV, and then I'd do Crystal, and then I would do events, and then I would do some writing, or I'd help somebody with coming up with an event. So it was real project work, and I love project work. Now, back in those days, Nads, I called myself a freelancer, and people would keep saying to me, you know, when are you going to grow up? When are you going to settle down? So it was very much stigmatized.
Mm-hmm. I think it still is, right?
I think it's getting better.
It is definitely getting better.
But that whole association of somebody who doesn't have one job, one salary, and even my dad feels that way, is just like a tosser, right?
Yeah.
And people would call me at 2:00 in the afternoon. Hey, Jen, did I wake you? And they honestly thought that I would just sleep all day. Yeah. And that's why I worked. And I want to make it very clear that when you do choose to go into freelancing work or self-employed, you work like a monster.
Oh, for sure.
You can't get sick.
Yeah, because if you get sick, you miss one week, you're off. That's 1 week of pay.
Right. So when I did go back to corporate life, progressive, after I left Crystal, I went into progressive, full on 8 to 5. It was the strangest thing, Nads, like knowing that you could be sick for like 21 days a year and get paid for it.
Still get paid?
I was like, what is this?
What's this magical hack?
It was really abstract to me.
Yeah.
And then paid holidays.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for it. I understand the seduction, but you see people taking advantage. You see people just literally, it's a form of robbery, isn't it?
I think the one thing that that other people don't see is you chose shifts. So, for example, you were on air, and those were probably morning or lunchtime shifts.
Yeah.
And then you did your news reading stuff, which I'm guessing would be in the evening.
Yeah.
Which means that you actually have the whole day to do whatever you plan or whatever you want to do, and that's the real seduction for me. For someone like me, like, you know, I get my work done in the morning, I get my work done in the evening. Now I have this whole day to myself to do whatever I want, or to do errands or whatever when everyone else is at the tables.
Right? Yeah. And just like we meet at a certain coffee shops on a regular impromptu basis, we bump into each other.
We can say batches.
And we can say batches.
Batches is my favorite.
Just like random Tuesday morning we'll be there. And I love that. And I love the people who go there because we're all in the same space.
Yeah.
We can go there Tuesday morning. I don't have to check in with anybody or ask permission. I am free at 10:22 on a Tuesday morning to go and have a coffee or 3 with you.
But I have to leave at 11:15 for pickup.
Yeah, but we have to leave, 45 minutes before the children have to be picked up. And I love that freedom.
Do you remember a point in your life around this moment where you just said to yourself, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is the life I want to live for the rest of my life. Was there a moment, was there a switch that it just happened?
Well, definitely when I came back from New York, but it hasn't quite, I'm not quite there yet. Mm-hmm. So I love the fact that I'm able to be honest with myself and say, this is how I want my life to live. And since leaving Progressive 3 years ago and fully going into self-employed and running a coaching business, and it's a whole fresh start for me. I love the freedom. I haven't quite got my competence up there yet. So there's this very humbling experience.
That's so weird that you'd say that, because I think so many people in this space would just look at you and be like, she definitely has her crap together. You know what I mean?
And I think because we're able to project confidence, but to be honest, it's been a lot harder than I thought. I thought I can speak. I'm not scared of crowds. I can do this coaching and lead a workshop. But the whole academic, theoretical side of it, you know, there's a lot of planning, a lot of reading. Delivering a workshop is so different to emceeing.
Do you know why I think that is? Because I've asked myself questions like this as well. Like, why am I nervous when I go on for a magic show? Why am I nervous before I have to host? It's because you care. It's because you care. You want to take that extra time to learn about a product. You want to take that extra time to learn about your craft so that you can leave these people with everything 100%, no stone unturned. And it's just because you care. And I think that's I can't speak for you, but I'd like to take a stab at it and be like, I think that's probably why.
And I think that's it. You know, we take a lot of pride in what we do. Whatever we do, it has literally our mark on it. We have to touch every dollar we earn has involved us touching it. Because I'm not a business owner. I don't have staff. So I'm still in that space.
For sure.
I've earned the money. I've touched it in some way. It's very, very personal, very invested.
So the whole money thing's great. You know, it must have built up so much confidence for you to, you know, you said, you know what, I'm going to try raise $2,000 this month. And the next thing you know, it's $3,000 this month.
Yeah.
Because I did the same thing with me. I said, ooh, I bet if I think I can actually reach 2.5 this month, or, oh, I've got another gig. I think I should be able by December to make this much, or blah, 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 you know, that sort of thing. But apart from that, or if that is it, what keeps you going? I think one of the lines that you said just now that you keep repeating a lot as well is making connections. Is that something that keeps you going, or is there something else?
As I get older, yes. As I get older, before it was about getting the jobs, feeling needed in a small role as an MC, but now I just want to come away feeling that I've done something for you. And obviously with this platform of coaching or creating a workshop, it's easier because you tell people what they hope to have learned by the end of it. So it becomes really about that. And it starts to get a bit touchy-feely, doesn't it? But some of it comes with age. You know, you onboard all these experiences. And I think you know me as I'm not private. I'm not secretive about anything. I'm more than happy to share anything I've gone through. Not to preach to anybody, but because we're all broken. And some people are really good at hiding it.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know. And you can tell me anything because I've probably been there, done that 10 times.
For sure.
And I think just being able to let people express themselves, and then you can start to heal.
It also, I mean, we live in a culture where most of us just prefer to sweep things under the rug, right?
Yeah.
I know I'm guilty of that as well. And I know as I get older as well, it's a little easier for me to sort of be like, I wonder why I'm like this. And then you start to dig deep. And I think a lot as you grow up, you know, with hormones all over the place, you know, peer pressure, all that stuff. It's so easy to just keep everything locked away and just put a mask on and put a smile on and stuff like that.
And you know when that becomes a problem, because you know I'm a mindset coach and all, is when these things keep repeating themselves. When you find yourself obviously in this loop of why does this always keep happening to me? Yeah, you got to change something, haven't you?
For sure,
you got to go back and understand.
And also, you know, there's that saying, right, which I feel rings true. Only a crazy person would keep doing the same things all over again, expecting things to change.
So pretty crazy, huh? When we do it, waiting for somewhat magic voice to tell us what to do. Yeah, it's really internal. For sure. But again, it comes back to now asking yourself, what do you want?
Who are you? Yeah. What do you want to be? What do you want to achieve?
And how often do people give themselves that privilege?
I shared this with one of our other guests. When I'm working with a client, the first thing that I do on that initial conversation is I ask them what their why is. Why are you here today? You know, why do you want a coach? Why do you want a fitness coach? Why do you want to work on your nutrition? Why are you here today? You know, and I have a game called the 5 Whys. So I always ask them, hey, why are you here today? It's like, oh, I just want to lose weight. And we always know that first why is always just surface. Yeah. Right? It's just, you're not really here just because of that.
Yes.
Okay. And then you'll be like, okay, why is losing weight important to you right now? And then they'll be like, oh, well, you know, I just want to be healthier. Like, okay, That's the second why. And then your third why, let's get a little deeper. Why is, being healthier important to you right now? Oh, well, my kids, blah, blah, blah. And then from the kids, you get it a little deeper, So I usually ask them 5 whys. And then once we know what that deep-rooted why is, and we know along this journey, whether it's fitness, whether it is, work, whether it's life or a project, we know there's going to be a lot of highs, but also a lot of lows. So when we're at our lowest point in our journey, it's so good and so strong to know what your real why is, to remind that person, hey, this is why you're here today. It sucks, but this is why you're doing what you're doing right now. And then that for me seems to have worked a lot with my clients. How do you figure out what your why is, or how do you get your clients to figure out what their whys are?
Exactly that process, Naz, the powerful questions, and they start to get physically very uncomfortable.
Oh, that's a good sign.
Yeah. So we do these workshops with goal setting, and a simple one is, well, it seems simple, but I want to lose weight. Mm-hmm. And as we work it through, sometimes it leads to deep self-esteem issues. I feel like I'm going to look better, or marriage issues, or being a better mom, or just being happier. It's never really about the actual weight. Mm-hmm. It's about beyond that, isn't it? And that's why this is so fascinating. Yeah. Just getting people to dig a little bit deeper. I'm also really aware that the coaching space can sound super duper cheesy.
Oh, for sure. Super cliche.
Right?
Hippy dippy sometimes.
But if you are buying into it, there is a lot to be said for it.
And also, I think if you're genuine.
Yeah.
I think your true voice, your true message comes out. And I really feel actions speak louder than works as well. So, I want to pivot a little bit.
Yeah,
I definitely want to touch on the coaching stuff a little bit later. I want to pivot a little bit. You are the reason, I told you this, you are the reason why I decided to be self-employed or to be a freelancer, right? So I remember I was still juggling my 9 to 5, my 8 to 5 in Brunei. I was juggling being a radio DJ. I was juggling being a fitness coach. And I remember sitting with you by the drains near the DST building.
I love drains.
Yeah, the DST building. We're just hanging out in the back like all the cool kids do.
Yeah.
And I just remember asking you Jen, I don't know if I'm ready to make this transition. I don't know if I'm ready to make this jump.
Yep.
And you left me with 2 pieces of advice that I still hold close to my heart, or I still keep up my sleeve up till this day. And when people ask me for advice on how to make the jump, it's the same thing I tell them as well. You told me, 1, have multiple sources of income.
Right.
Right. So I was coaching, I was doing radio, and I was getting gigs here and there. And you also told me that, you know what, money's always going to come. You always told me that, hey, it might seem dark, it might seem a little slow, but for some funny reason, money will always come. I've sort of adjusted it a little bit today. I think money will always come if you're going to work for it. I think you can't expect to just sit down but now I really feel like money's going to come if you work and you look for it. Are these pieces of advice, I don't know if you remember it, but
yeah, I do.
But is this something that still rings true today, or would you give some other different tips and advice?
No, and I think even more so, Naz, I think since we last had that conversation, without sounding creepy, I think I've taken on a lot more of our faith, obviously. And I find a lot of peace in it. And again, when we were speaking about some of this touchy-feely stuff, which the intangibles, I find that it really is those intangibles that keeps me moving forward. The stuff you can't put your finger on, like that believing that money will come. And it comes from a deep-rooted faith that the world is not out to get you, that, our creator, and again, I'm really mindful about not sounding creepy, is not out to get you, that there's honestly so much love and support, and to operate on that basis every single day. And in the mindset coaching, we talk about the reticular activation system. You've probably heard of that.
Whoa. That's at least 10 points on Words with Friends.
So basically,
break it down for me. What was it again?
The reticular activation system. And I teach it to all of the attendees of the coaching workshop. Mm-hmm. It's basically how you choose to look at your world. It's the lens through which you look at your world. And if you're continually going to wake up every day and expect to be screwed over, and clients aren't going to pay you, clients are going to underpay you, you're not going to get the work. Of course, that will happen. But if you can change your lens to believing that great opportunities will come and that clients will pay you fast, you can reverse it. through the RAS.
I'm a super emotional person. So
Yeah.
if someone says something wrong or does, like if a client says something wrong or does something wrong, I'm very quick to react. So that's why it's been really cool to hang out with my producer over here, Nadia Farhana Halim.
Yes, who's got no emotions whatsoever.
No, she's very like, whoa, that's just you being emotional right now. Keep that in check. And then I think also it's just
Wait, sorry. Do you mean you react to clients?
I will voice it out, but I won't react to clients. I'll just be like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it,
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Let's just pull the plug. Let's just forget about it. And she's like, hold up, It's
Have you ever said to a client, you know what? Forget it, man.
very close, but never.
Oh, I have done it once.
Really?
It was a member of the diplomatic corps.
Okay.
Yeah. And honestly, so super rude. Awful man.
Okay.
And I was getting really hot and bothered. And, we like to be liked.
Not hot and bothered in the good way, too.
No. I was insulted.
Oh, what do you mind to ask what he said?
It was some comments about, did I know how to pronounce his name? I think his name was something like Hassan. I think I can nail that. So
I was expecting, was it like a international name?
So already I was like, whoa, your expectation of me is really low. And that was a whole vibe. And also being a woman did not work in my favor according to him.
Oh my gosh.
So I literally said, I'm sorry, I am not doing this. I have no desire to work for you. I don't even like you. And I walked out. It was an ambassador.
Wow.
And I was actually quite proud of myself.
I was just going to say, I'm proud of you for doing that.
But sometimes you're so enraged. You don't even care. Do you like me or not? No. I don't like you today. And that's what matters.
Do you think, because I feel like I'm at this age now where, one, I'm working towards knowing who I am, what I want in my life.
Yes.
And also once you realize what you want, who you want, it's sort of easier to make decisions for work and stuff like that, right? Like, oh, this does not line up with my value system.
Yeah.
I don't want to go ahead with this. But also the circle I want to surround myself with and the people I want to work around with. Do you feel that that's something that, that it just didn't line up with you? I mean, obviously being insulted doesn't line up with anyone's value system and stuff like that.
And that's it, Naz. The freedom to choose who I work with. Just because you ask me to do something for you doesn't mean I have to say yes. Mm-hmm. And that is it. I get to choose how I spend my day, how I earn my money, and who I spend time with. And that's really empowering.
Yeah.
If somebody's rude to me, I'll have to think, do I need to pay school fees? Okay, you can be rude. I need the school fees this month. But if I'm in a different space, I get to choose.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you swallow it. And other times you're like, no, I'm not having this today.
Give and take, right?
Yeah. And I love having that option. Mm-hmm. Decisions.
I think one of the things the II is always constantly reminding me is, hey, like, we'll take one now and hopefully we can take it back from them like the next time. A little tit for tat.
Yes.
A little, and that's something I'm slowly learning to, okay, don't be emotional.
Do you like cry and stuff? Or what is this emotion?
No, I'm just very, because I feel like, yes, I like that. Yeah, you know what? I get to choose who I want to work with and stuff like that. And when I don't get appreciated or when I don't get, not to be bratty, but it's when people are like, oh, you know what? No, you can't do this. Or you can't, And I'm like, whoa, you hired me for a specific reason.
Wow.
You hired me for a certain look. Maybe it's for content or a certain vibe that we're trying to get. And then all of a sudden I just feel like, hey, if I can't do what you hired me to do, then that doesn't line up with my image and who I am and, all that stuff. And it's not going to be a great product for me. Also not a great product for you. Because I think I'm at the space now where, just for example, with the content I create, I have a good understanding of what the people who follow me sort of enjoy.
Yes.
What they like to engage in and stuff like that. And when that gets shifted, the analytics might drop, might not get accepted the same way. And then the clients will be like, yo, what happened, man? And I'm like, well, let me tell ya, so.
And that's probably the biggest challenge, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, Naz, they're your client, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the dividing line. How much of it is about us? Because they're using your platform at the end of the day as well. So I'm trying to just navigate the space. But at the same time, at the end, as much as we are self-employed, they are still our paymasters.
For sure.
Many of them.
I know it,
and so you just kind of got to keep playing that game, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, for me, I was lucky enough to have that conversation with you years and years and years ago. And I had two great pieces of advice that really finally made me pull the trigger to sort of quit my day job. But for you, what do you wish you knew then before you sort of took that jump? You got back from New York. Was there anything specific that you wish you knew then that you knew now?
I wish that I had taken more pride in that decision, rather than because people. No, not people. I would feel sometimes that people look down on me as much as they needed the service XYZ. At the end of the day, just like going back to that whole thing of grow up. But now, 28 years later, I feel really, really well equipped, Nads.
Yeah.
To manage this weird space we're all in. Don't talk to me about job security. I've just come out of the telco space where 800 people don't have jobs, and are looking for jobs. And I feel because I didn't grow up or settle down, I am perfectly equipped coming into my 50s to go out and make money.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So it's taken a long time for me to feel that kind of, what's that word, redemption. But I know I was in the right place at the right time. I wish I could have celebrated myself more then.
Yeah, for sure. And I think sometimes we're so caught up in the machine that we forget to sort of be like, hey, buddy, this is what you were 5, 6, 8 years ago. Look where you are now. It's so easy to get caught up like, ugh, that guy's still like doing better than I am. That guy's still driving a nicer car, or that person's got but you've had so much growth, right?
And do you feel the same way that you're so equipped now to take control? For
sure. I think, I still am insecure in certain aspects of my career. And I'm like, I don't know if I should, charge this much, or I don't know if I can actually do this event, or, that sort of thing. But I'm definitely way more confident now than I am then. Also, I think to stand my ground a little bit more sometimes. I think with projects, with content, with certain gigs and stuff like that. Even when you're hosting, now I feel like, actually, you shouldn't have the magician on during dinner. No one's going to be paying attention to him. Those little things like that. Yeah.
You got ever such a nice face, Nazri.
Thank you. It only took you half an hour to notice.
You have a lovely face. Got lovely bone structure.
You can come on the show anytime.
You're not wearing any makeup.
No, I just a little, nothing.
Oh,
just baby
face.
spit, just toddler spit.
I just realized, I was like, oh yes. And I think I say this to you quite often. Very arresting face.
No, I'm like, how do I react? Thank you, Jen.
Just go with it now.
I'm really bad at compliments.
Are you?
But thank you.
But yet you like it.
Yes, but it's also like, it's like when someone sings you happy birthday. Yeah. What do I do? It's
actually, what do you do?
Where do my hands go? All of a sudden, you're like,
I blush thinking about it. Do you sing together? Do you clap your hands?
Because if I sing,
it's your song. Right.
Why are you singing to yourself?
Birthday, you're like, then somebody whips out a camera. What do you do with your face? Yeah.
What do you do? And then
they do it again and go louder.
And then they do the Malay one. Oh. You're like, I don't know the lyrics to this one. I only know the first line, but I don't know what the other one is in the middle.
Me too. I'm like, can you just stop after that first 3 words?
Oh my gosh! But yes, that's. Thank you, Jen. That caught me off guard there.
Yeah.
Let me try to get this conversation.
Sorry, sure. Let's get back on track. And I'm just going to sip from my cup with stickers on.
Hey, they don't know it's stickers, Jen.
Sorry.
For all they know, it's embossed on it or something.
He's embossed.
Thank you. On the Nazri Presents store, ladies and gentlemen, we've got ones for left-handed people and right-handed people as well.
I'll just reverse it for
that's right.
some new optics.
Thank you, Jen.
So tell me about the space theme.
I've got the most stupid response to this.
Yeah.
So when I came up with the idea of Nazri Presents, I said to myself, man, I want the branding to have something to do with astronauts.
Because?
Because this podcast is out of this world, Jen.
Oh, God, really?
No,
I was giving up.
No, not even. So I just remember coming up with the podcast, and I said, man, I want the branding to have something to do with astronauts. And they're like, why? So that if this podcast ever takes off and we have a bit of a following, we can call the followers Nastronauts. And that is why I wanted spacemen and astronauts in the branding.
That, actually, I love it.
Thank you. What do you think you'd call your followers? Because I know, like, I'm like, I want people who are fans of the show to be called Nastronauts. But what would the Jenny M crew be called?
Can't top the astronauts. Can you give me a name? Right?
Imagines.
Yeah, we can work on it definitely. But I'm feeling this spacey with
Imaginationers? I don't know. We could call them. You gotta give and take here. Well, top of your head. Jen.
Jen. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one, Naz. After coffee, yeah. But I'm feeling it, man. Love it.
Thanks, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. That means a lot coming from you.
Yeah. And sorry, may I just start? Who did the artwork?
Okay, so this is the original logo. This is from Shauki Matsuki.
Yeah.
You know, I said, hey, I want an astronaut. I want him holding a microphone because, you know, podcast. And I said that I told the crew early up that I wanted the space to be decorated with artwork from local illustrators and artists of the logo in their own style.
Right.
Yeah, so this is from a guy called Fadli. And I said, hey, here's my logo. Run with it. Do whatever you want with it. That one's a graffiti artist, Spazzy. Yeah, he did that. And he put my cat.
The architect.
Correct. And he put my cat there as well, Mochi.
It was very facey, that one. Right?
This one's a little bit more mysterious.
I'm sorry. Which one is your favorite?
Honestly, I like the minimal aspect of like this. This original logo is my favorite, but I think they both have different styles. Like this was, I feel like there was a mobile phone app game called Amateur Surgeon or something like that, and the cartoon style was just like that, which I really love. And there's something about the neon on the lettering here which I really like. He's got a cool style, like a pop art sort of like, you know, he's playing with different textures and stuff, which I thought was pretty cool.
And the rug. I mean, really, let's just overachieve right now.
Come on. Did you like that? I got that made over a year ago.
Locally?
Yes, locally. So my brother-in-law, Kemek, he made this in our living room. He's on Instagram, Tuft Vandals. And you can send them any design you want and they'll make a custom rug for you.
Oh my gosh, my girls would love and
totally.
Izzy would love that for his for their rooms.
He does sneakers too. So he does like giant Jordan 1s and stuff like that, or even like the Nike Air Max, the Back to the Future shoe. So they're about this size, and then
Shoes, big shoes.
Yeah, is he into sneakers?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could get a rug of his favorite sneaker.
Oh, a rug of a sneaker.
Yes, not to make. Yes,
right,
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because Izzy's into sneakers, right?
He's really, I mean, he's coming 15 next month.
Do you know what his favorite sneaker is?
Yeah, Nads. It's the ones with pink and black.
Got it. The pink and black ones.
Yeah, he loves those.
Cool. Yeah, so I bet if you reached out to Tough Vandals, they'd be able to, you just say, hey, I want like a rug this size of this shoe, and they'd be able to make it for you.
So much enjoy.
So much enjoy. And that's what I love. Like all of this was all local, man. Like we have so much talent in Brunei. And that's one of the reasons why I got this podcast going. I wanted people to know there's so many people crushing it out there locally. And I think it's so easy to be like, oh, we can't do that. You know, we're Bruneians. Or, oh, of course they did that. They're from Singapore. They're from Indonesia. There's so many opportunities. But there's so many people here making their own opportunities, which I'm always so like, wow, so much talent out there that no one has heard of or no one has seen. And that's the goal of the podcast.
I'm feeling it, man.
Yeah. Back to you.
Yes, okay.
Because we are obviously, speaking of goals and people crushing it, I'm sure there were some standout moments in your career. What were some highs? What were some lows that you'd be, top of your head that really stand out for you?
I think that's leaving Crystal FM after 18 years of doing something I love with the people I love was one of the hardest decisions ever to make. But I needed to grow and do something different.
For sure.
I was so comfortable. I would go in every day. It was the most funnest time ever. And I can compare now, because every day I'm uncomfortable with what I'm doing, because it just doesn't stop. I haven't reached that same level of mastery or comfort that I ever had with the radio. So that was one of the, I guess, highlights and the lowlights, knowing that I had to move on. I had to earn more money. I had to I was in my mid-40s by then, and I needed to know I could do something more. Yeah. So then we went on to build, me and Hum, the progressive radio station. So this is a huge jump, and I needed to do that. And it was so uncomfortable.
There was a sense of comfort, I'm guessing, because you were in that space for so long, but also discomfort because new things.
Completely. And then moving into a very corporate space, and I didn't know how to do a spreadsheet or Excel or PowerPoint. Who has to do that as a DJ?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, my God, I can't do these basic things. But really aware that every day I was learning so much with growing a team, building a team, growing a new kind of business. So that was my high and my low. Okay. And I think since then, it's become easier for me to take more risks. So then to leave Progressive and go into the entrepreneur track, which is when I got funded to set up my own company through Darussalam Assets. So I just got better and better at making the harder decisions for the right reasons.
And I think every time you try something new or you take on something that no one's done before, or something you've never done before, that decision to try new things becomes easier, right?
Yes, but the actual process doesn't. Yeah. So I remember feeling for the last, 6 years or so, every day my skin is peeling off. I'm just literally, my skin is crawling every day because I'm so uncomfortable. So what I have to do is kind of use some NLP practices, which is to kind of go back to, well, how did you feel when you were in Crystal FM doing the morning show with Harm? And I would have to kind of step back into that person. I was relaxed, I was comfortable, I would smile, and I felt great. So you kind of have to almost pull out that person and map it onto this uncomfortable version of yourself.
Who knows, Jen? You say peeling the skin, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you could be shedding your cocoon. You just went through metamorphosis to bloom into a beautiful butterfly.
Oh, I was thinking more the snake thing.
Oh, snake works too.
Have you been to Hong Kong? Back in the 80s, they would be skinning snakes on the side of the road and put those naked snakes back into a bag.
For what?
I remember that. I don't know. And then they eat it. I don't know. But I remember. And that's the image I think about whenever I feel uncomfortable, that sidewalk in Hong Kong where the guy's just ripping the skin off. Oh, too much imagery? Too much imagery. Let's go to something nicer, shall we?
Puppies. Not skinning puppies. No. We're just puppies. Just think of cute puppies.
Kittens.
Yeah.
So that's it. That constant discomfort. And knowing that, okay, something is going on here and it's a good going on.
Okay.
When was the last time your skin felt as though it's being peeled off? You were so uncomfortable doing something so new. What was it, Nads?
Launching this podcast, getting it together, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I'm a perfectionist. And I think that holds me back from releasing a lot of content, doing a lot of things, only because I want things to be completely perfect before I launch it out into the world to experience.
Has that ever happened? Have you ever launched perfection?
No. And I'm getting more comfortable with that choice. I really feel, that. And then another one is we're planning a magic show. So the same crew right here, we're planning a magic show for the end of the year. And it's nothing like, I think, any other magician in Brunei has done. So that also makes me feel like, I want to vomit so much. I'm more of that guttural guy, that in the stomach that I just want to puke and I can't get comfortable. That's me.
And that's it, there's a book, Louise L. Hay, Heal Your Life. And she talks about how all your fears are expressed in your body and the gut is absolute fear. That's where we get scared.
It's so crazy because, when I was doing my nutrition course, there was a lot of sort of mental work and hormonal work as well with nutrition. And it says, yes, you are what you eat, but also what you eat is what you are. Because they say how you feel affects what you eat or how you break things down or how you digest things. But also what you eat can also affect how you think and how you feel. So it's this two-way street, which I thought was the whole gut. That's just crazy right there.
And reading your stomach, right?
Yeah.
Continually.
Even reading your stool.
Yeah. I could get well into that. There's nothing like a good purge. And it's very important for your well-being, right?
Are you one to do regular ones, or are you irregular in your number twos?
Irregular.
Oh, me too.
On the clock, man.
After every meal.
Oh, no, that's showing off right there. After every meal.
Hey, man, yeah.
That's how many meals a day?
Like I know, like when I wake up in the morning, that's one.
Yeah.
After lunch, I can do another one. After dinner, I can definitely do another one.
Seriously.
If I need to, I might do one before I go to sleep.
Doesn't matter what you've eaten.
I got it, man. I have trust in my bowels.
I was listening to you and Dini on radio the other day.
Okay.
And you were talking about coffee.
Yes.
And you were saying how it's a diuretic or diuretic. I'm not sure how you say that word. And he thought a diuretic meant a laxative. And I could not stop laughing because he was like, yeah, I've got to go to the toilet, man, every time I have a coffee. And you're like, oh, do you need a wee-wee? He's like, oh, is that what a diuretic is?
It's so big because he's such a good-looking sayang ba?
Yeah, I was like,
lawa ba that
and I
day.
laughed, I definitely lolled in the car to myself because he was just so endearing about it. Like he just whispered to you, forgetting the mic was on. Oh, is that what that means? He said.
Bless him. He's so smart in so many other things.
So handsome. And I was like, oh, dude, you broke it, man.
Yeah, that's the shattered glass moment right there. I'll be like, yep, just ruined the illusion.
And I love that chemistry that you have on radio with Dini. Because you can't hide anything on radio. It's all in the voice. It is theater of the mind, as they call it, right?
I think also by the time this comes out, then he won't be on air again.
What are you telling us something?
Yeah, I think by the time this podcast comes out, I think the news would have already been out. So he won't be on air again.
Is that a secret?
For now. But when this podcast drops, yeah.
And is that a great story, Naz?
Yeah, he's had a great story too.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Just got so many questions brewing.
We'll save it for after?
Yeah.
We'll save it for after, for sure. For sure, but he's going on a great journey.
Are you now with your podcast and interviewing all these people discovering any commonalities between us all in terms of personality? Tell me a little bit about some of how we may all be similar.
Yeah, I think, you know that saying in Brunei, same but different?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel that sometimes. There's definitely that craving for excellence, or that need to stand out, or that need to be a better version of yourself. But also we're different in terms of, like when we spoke, or when we're about to speak with Easy, because, when we spoke with Easy, I asked him, so when did you get into competitions and stuff like that? And he says, oh, I didn't really get into competitions much. I'm paraphrasing, but he actually prioritized training his athletes for competition than competing himself. Because I'm like, oh, if that was me, I would go out and compete as hard as I can and win as much as I can before I start focusing on other people. And it just shows how we prioritize different things,
Yeah.
The kind of person that he is. So it's interesting. There are definitely some similarities, some common threads, but also like so many things that are unique as well. Yeah.
Tell me about the kind of people you don't like hanging around with. And don't be shy about it.
I think if you're the kind of person that still clings on to the glory of yesteryears,
Yeah.
that's definitely something, especially if it's something that you're doing constantly, like, oh, remember back then when we would blah, 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 blah. Yes. I mean, the first few times, love it. But if that's something that's all you have, that's associated to you and your identity, I need to be around people who want to grow. I need to be around people who are hungry, people who want to, people who have purpose. And I think you really have to surround yourself. Well, I'm speaking for myself. You really have to surround yourself with, people who challenge you, and not people who just say yes to everything you want and everything you do. And that's just me. What about you?
Do you have a lot of friends?
Honestly, I have a lot of acquaintances, I think, but not a lot of friends. Yeah, I think easy to say, the people in this room, you, Anas, Yaya, people I definitely trust, people I call friends, people I keep close.
Do you find that because you choose your work, with that you choose the people you work with? And by default, a lot of these people are friends. So I don't actually have friends, but when I work, this is considered work, it's with friends, man.
Yeah. So for example, I've met both of these people through just my friendship with them before I started working with them. I worked out at CrossFit 673 with Anas.
Oh, so they were friends. These guys were friends before you worked with them.
Yeah, I knew Yaya when she was 13, and stuff like that. So Only I think like with Anas, I knew him from 673. We were training partners together. We'd lift weights together, and I found out he did video, and I found out he did photos. I'm like, oh, let's try some things together. And I think, with Yaya, we were just hanging out in batches one day, and she's like, I was like, oh, I really need to find a set designer. And I was like, I'm really terrible at that when we were coming up with content. And she was like, oh, I can do that. I was like, what do you mean? That's my degree. I did all these things just and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, cool. And then, and the thing is, these two stepped up. They not only, sure, we're friends, they also told me what they did, but they also delivered. So I know that I can trust them.
Yes.
And that's why I constantly want to work with them. So I want to be surrounded by people that I can help lift up as well, and people like them who can help me be a better version of myself as well. So I think that's it for me.
And it's like serendipity, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
I love
John
that.
Cusack was amazing.
The movie?
yeah, Serendipity.
I thought Joan was in it.
Fact check?
The sister or the guy? Oh, you have your research fact checker.
Fact check.
But there's a whole science behind serendipity, Naz, how you can actually create it. Like what you did at Batches. It's just like that.
I really am a firm believer of vocalizing things that... John Cusack.
Oh, it's John, not Joan.
Yeah.
Okay, you win.
1-0. I'm a firm believer of vocalizing what you want and putting it out in the world.
Yeah.
That's why I do that all the time. Like, it was the same when I said, I want to be on... I remember when the trailer for Asia's Got Talent came on Star World, and I was like, oh my gosh, they have Asia's Got Talent now. And I remember looking at it, and I was like, the next time this show comes on, I'm going to be on this show. And it happened. I was on Asia's Got Talent. And it was the little things like that. I had so many moments in my life that I can put out like this. Like, I want to have magic shows around the region. And after being on TV in Indonesia, a group of magicians came together like, hey, we should put on a show in Manila. And we did in Manila. We planned for Indonesia, Brunei, and Singapore. Then COVID happened. But all happened from me just sitting in my room alone and just vocalizing. And I think that's such it's so hippy dippy. But I really feel once you vocalize it into the world, it becomes real. And there's something in your head that says, hey, if he said it out loud, we got to make this happen. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that?
No, I'm inspired hearing you say that again. I don't think I do it enough. I think I'm spending so much time at, these last few weeks just literally trying to catch my own tail and not asking, what it is I want. And I should do better with this. But I'm literally just kind of in a tailspin continually. So for you to remind me of that, it really helps. And it's true, isn't it? Just identifying what is it you want, having fun with it, expecting more, expecting the best.
That's why some people have vision boards and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have vision board too.
Because you wake up and that's the first thing you see and like, oh, I got to make this happen today.
And that's really the cornerstone of all the mindset coaching as well, just continually training your mind with these visual cues, with these plans, with these hopes, with certain feelings. It's very powerful. And even having been trained in it, I still need reminders.
For sure. I'm in an industry where it's fitness coaching, and coaches still need coaches.
Yeah.
So I've worked with a nutrition coach last year for 6 months, even though I've got a level 2 nutrition cert as a coach, even though I've been coaching for more than 10 years, like I still need a coach.
So what will that coach help you with?
So for me, I think my setback is accountability. I just needed someone to help keep me accountable. And also, as a coach, it's so easy to cherry pick what I want to do and what I don't want to do. So to have someone give me a little bit more direction. And also, I wanted to get into the online nutrition coaching space. Then I could kind of say, hey, what better way for me to know what my client will go through than me being a client myself? What works, what doesn't work, all that stuff. So for me, that's why I felt like I needed a coach as well. So
do you do a lot of coaching, fitness coaching?
Here and there, mostly with group classes, but I feel there's a bigger impact when it's one-on-one. And I have a few PTs here and there.
Do you like one-on-ones?
Yes, because I can track progress. I can help find light bulb moments for my clients and stuff like that. What about you? I know you do a lot of group coaching, but do you do one-on-ones as well?
I really have. I'm pulling away from that.
Okay.
I find it can be quite exhausting.
Yeah.
And I think going back to accountability, when you're trying to speak to people about their mindset and telling them how accountable they have to be, a lot of people just aren't ready for it.
No.
And I'll say, maybe you need therapy, actually.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, right?
No.
I think there's still that taboo, that stigma of like, well, why do I need to go to therapy? I'm not, I'm obviously, I'm not speaking for everyone, but everyone sometimes feel like, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm like, oh, it doesn't mean that you have, it's just, there's a lot of things going on inside.
But then there's also people now, when I say to them, are you ready to put in the hard work?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be asking every week how you're doing.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa, no, literally, they're not there yet.
Yeah.
And again, you got to go back to, well, why are you here? And it takes work to change yourself. It takes so much commitment, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure.
So much brain power.
And all those moments of discomfort.
Yeah. And a lot of people simply are, they're not ready for it. And I respect that.
I feel that with the coaching work that you do, Jenny M. Calms, the tagline was providing coaching for messy minds.
Yeah.
What does messy minds look like? What do messy minds look like?
Exactly what it sounds like, Nads. You know, and it doesn't even have to be a state of constant messiness. There may be a day or an hour when you just like, you're a mess. And I had that yesterday. I'm struggling. I can't think straight. And you're like, and I think Nadia used it the other day as well. And it's exactly what it is. You're just a mess. And it's just about giving you some tools to just slow down. And I like to begin with simply just acknowledge, whoa, I'm struggling right now. That's a really good starting point. And just talk yourself through it. I'm a big fan of talking to yourself and coaching yourself out of this space. And the very first part of it is acknowledging what you're feeling and put a word to it. I'm struggling, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling like a loser, whatever word you want. And very similar to your process of why, take it deeper, and then what, and then what, and then what. And you kind of start to reach this, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah.
And then after that, and what would you rather feel? And that's a really powerful second part of the process. So I'm feeling frustrated, overwhelmed. I want to be feeling joyful. I want to be feeling empowered. So you choose again what you're going to be moving towards. So that's really the basic premise of messy mind work.
Do you feel that power of being able to talk to yourself? That was something people like you and I, we were radio DJs. We literally sit in an empty room with a microphone. That's just something we were forced to be comfortable with.
Do you talk to yourself a lot in the car?
All the time.
Me too.
I run through my scripts. I'm like, oh, that sounds silly, Nazri. And then, oh, that doesn't sound great. Or I talk. I need to say things out loud to process them.
Yeah.
Are you the same?
Completely.
Yeah, it's just how I process things, I think. And I think for a lot of people, it must be a little weird. You know what I mean?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's...
So literally driving your mouse is going...
Yeah. And I always catch myself like when I'm at events and I'm just running through the script. I can't just run through the script in my head. I got to say it out.
Your mouth's got to move?
Yeah, my mouth's got to move. Maybe a little volume. And I'm always so like, well, I wonder what they're thinking to themselves about me right now.
But I've seen you do that.
Yeah.
And it's all about preparedness.
For sure.
As a singer would do it, right, Nadia? A singer will rehearse. Why shouldn't we walk around? And I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it too.
Yeah.
You may look a bit dickish, but you just get on with it, right?
For sure. And also, most of these people, you'll probably never meet them ever again.
No, you won't. I mean, there's that guy who's got Tourette's. Yeah. But it's really important, right?
Oh, man, for sure. So I don't know about you, but I think since we're in this topic right here, everyone sees an MC, a DJ, a host as like, sana unjuk kerja niya, like talking saja, you know. And we know there's more to it. What does it take to be a successful speaker, a presenter, a host? You know, what's your take on that?
Wow. I did a little speech to some students recently with the Petronas School of Life, and that was the exact question. And the whole topic was about speaking. And I think a lot of it we've covered already, Nads. You know, knowing who you're speaking to, knowing what you want them to leave with, and being as prepared as you can. And that goes the same for any job. What's the outcome? And it's along the same coaching principle, understanding the outcome, understanding your audience, and getting as prepared as you can for it, and all that space in between.
Yeah. Have you ever had a client go up to you and be like, mahal jua? You're just talking. You got a script.
No, well, I've had people going next to me and saying, wow, your job's so easy, you just get to read. And I get really insulted, actually.
For sure, me too.
I'm like, okay, well, why don't you do it?
Yeah.
And they think it's beneath them.
Yeah.
And there's that whole thing about how when you ask somebody to fix a computer and they just push one button and they charge you $900, it's not about pushing the button. It's about knowing which button to push.
For sure.
Right? And I feel really strongly about that.
Yeah.
And if we make it look easy, well, then my job is done well, right?
For sure.
If you see me struggling with words, then you've hired the wrong person. But if you can look at us doing our work and think, wow, that's easy money, then yeah.
Event went really smooth.
Because we've been practicing and rehearsing and we know what we're doing.
For sure.
And
because
that's
go ahead.
not even a show off flex.
Yeah.
It's taken years to get that level of comfort and mastery in this space. So I'm going to have it, you know?
And also, anything and everything can go wrong, and most probably will go wrong.
Who gets blamed?
Yeah.
The MC will get blamed every time.
And then now, not only do you have to have the script going on in your head, what to say, how to say, timekeeping, but also if crap hits the fan, what do I do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You really got to have big brass hanging bits between your legs for this work. Because the MC is the line
As
of
she
fire.
adjusts her pants.
Quickly repart my bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Do you like MCing?
I do. I mean, now you've got me thinking, do I like it or do I do it because I can do it?
You can do it, right?
I think there's a sense of I'd like to be the life of the party. I think growing up in my group of friends, I never was the cool kid. I was never the rugged corner, like he's obviously the hot one or he's the cool one. I was never that guy.
So who were you?
I don't know. I never felt like I was any of the ones that stood out. So I think with MCing, I feel like I can help turn it up. I feel like I can make a party pop. You know what I mean? So I think that's why I enjoy it. Like if it's to sort of uplift that event to something a bit more fun, a little bit more of an experience. And I think that's why I MC.
That's interesting. I always go to an MC job thinking, I tell myself, it's not about you. So I tell myself, it's not about you. And your job, as I talk to myself, is your traffic control. So I go in with quite a different approach to you. Yeah. And it takes the pressure off because I'm not life of the party. You're not going to laugh a minute with me.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get the job done. So maybe I need to kind of reassess that too.
And maybe I need to step back and maybe I need to look at it from that side. I mean, I guess there are times, depends on the event.
It does.
For an annual dinner, I definitely want to make sure like, hey, people are taking time out of their Saturday night to be at a work event.
Yes.
So let's have them have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Let's
and your humor definitely helps you with that.
Hope so.
Because you can really make people laugh.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's the face mostly. Oh, he's got a funny face. That's not the joke.
But do you find that when you're with people, you should be making them laugh? Do you feel that's your job?
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially with dead time.
Oh, I was going to say dead people. I'm like, that's a tough crowd there.
Things got a little morbid here,
So with dead time, lift it up a little bit.
Yeah, like especially if like you're talking and then all of a sudden there's like quiet in the room. Like around people like Anas and Yaya and you, I'm comfortable with silence. But I think with a new crowd, I'm like, oh, like me, let me make you laugh. Let me make sure this feels fun. This interaction is exciting.
Yes.
Know? How do you feel the same way? No. There was I think it was Kirstie Alley.
Yes.
Actress.
Yes.
So she, let me just quickly Google. I forgot who it's
Kirstie Alley.
Brooke, let me just.
Oh, these 1980s.
One of the 1980s. She was on a podcast a couple months ago. And she always felt like she needed to be the funny person, the jokes, like, oh, love me, like I'm the personality you see on TV, so I need to act to that level.
Yes.
And she was funny. She was, warm. Even so, she was in the gym, and I think she fell down and she either broke her arm or broke her leg. And when the paramedics come, she's like, hey, you look like that person. And then she was like, oh, I'm of course I'm, obviously while she's in pain and all that stuff. And then her personal trainer would be like, hey, you don't need to do that. You don't need to perform. Don't feel like you need to be. And then she was like, she had to stop herself. I think, yeah.
That expectation.
For sure.
And as you're talking, I think I know what it is. Being a twin, identical twin, and there's Paula, who has always been a kind of a much bigger presence than me. She's bigger in every sense. She's got a bigger personality. She's funny. She's always been the sexy one. She's been hugely successful regionally. She's earned the big money. So I kind of almost have assumed that that's not my role, that's not my place, and been really happy with it.
Okay.
And I think probably as I kind of unpack that, that could be my dynamic with.
Okay. I've, with a twin who is successful in her own right as a presenter as well, did you ever feel competitive, or did it feel sort of comforting, like to know that, someone that's close to me, someone who's literally my twin is going on a similar journey as I am? What was that like?
Yeah, so we really mindfully went one video, one audio. I really love radio. She really loved video. And we were not competitive between ourselves, but other people would pit us against each other. And obviously constant comparison,
Yeah.
And they'd say things like, can you make it in KL then? Are you not good enough to be overseas? Maybe not, but it's not what I wanted. So just because I wanted to stay here, does that mean that I failed somehow, that I'm not as good? So I kind of had to personally battle with that what's that word? Perception that I'm here, therefore I wasn't able to make it anywhere else. I wanted to be here. Yeah. I choose to be here. Is that a fail? It's a choice.
Yeah, different values, different goals.
It really is. But other people will perceive it as, the lesser. And the lesser
Still
one.
to this day?
I think less so now. I really think less so.
Yeah. So do you think with perception, I feel that's whole mind work, right?
Yeah.
And the whole coaching for messy minds, like why do it, Jen? Like I know when I decided to take on nutrition coaching and stuff like that, I decided to study and learn it because that was a weakness in my armor.
Exactly.
As a coach. I didn't have that in my tool belt. I know nutrition is an important part of my coaching, skill set, and it is my weakest. So I'm going to spend a bit of money, a bit of time to sort of, make the chink in my armor a little smaller. Well, is that why?
Exactly the same thing. You create a product or a service based on what you feel is needed. And the best place is to operate from what you yourself needed. So whilst I wasn't trained in messy mind coaching, I was trained to be a mindset coach. That little product was something I created based on what I would feel on a continual basis. But when I started the company, I originally wanted to come out with a course and a workshop for specifically, and you can't edit this now, this is very important to me to maintain the integrity of this message. I wanted to come out with a workshop called How to Deal with Assholes in the Workplace.
Wow.
Yeah, because coming out of a corporate space and you are literally surrounded by these people, didn't have the tools to deal with it. I knew the job. I knew what I had to do. I didn't know how to deal with assholes.
Wow.
Every day. And I'm in my 40s, man, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I thought there's a gap here. I mean, as it happens, and let me just leave you with some crusty words of advice, just because people think differently or do things differently doesn't mean they are an asshole. They're just different to you. But I needed somebody to tell me how to deal with this, and it was crippling me. So I came from that place. I needed tools to manage people, manage my mind, manage my reaction to people.
That's so crazy. Yeah. Who knows? That could be a separate branch or a separate product under the Jenny M Comms.
How to deal with assholes? Yeah. I think there's a place for it, man.
That's so crazy. What's one thing that any of our listeners right now who are tuning in, what's one thing they could do right now to help just declutter that mess in their mind a little bit?
I've got the answer to this. Just smile. Yeah. And it does so many different things now. It's just the physiology of smiling, even if it's faking it. The very act of smiling, the muscles, relaxes you, and all those endorphins or hormones or whatever.
Yeah,
those
I think
good things.
I was just reading about this. I just read this out on air yesterday, the effects of smiling.
Were you?
And I think it helps with release serotonin, which is help you feel comfortable, relaxed, and 2 other hormones as well. And it's just...
One beginning with CNA, but it's that simple, Naz. And I think if you are going into your own self-employment or new business, there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of fear. You have to tell your mind just to calm down, and you just smile, and it makes you feel good, makes you look better. And also it's a form of, again, not to sound creepy, but it's a form of tzedakah. It's another way of just giving. And sometimes when you feel so bad about yourself, you can only give. And that's what I think, smile.
To circle back also, I think, Man, I just had a brain fart.
Sorry.
Oh,
We were talking about
so I know smiling and
giving.
My gosh, it was good too.
Was it about the giving angle? Just when you're not feeling so bad about yourself, you just got to give a little bit?
I don't know, Jen. You know what? Let's go with that. Hey, thanks, Jen. I'm going to sign on. Oh, okay. Never mind. If I remember it, we'll circle back to come back in.
Yeah.
To circle back on what we circled back on. Anyways, Jen, even with all this going on right now, right? Like you're helping people sort of clean up their messes in their minds. You've achieved so much. You're juggling being a business owner, being self-employed, being a mom, being a wife, being an event host, all this stuff. Do you still fall into pitfalls or little gaps of insecurity, lack of self-confidence, imposter syndrome?
Definitely with the coaching, real imposter syndrome. I thought it was going to be so easy. You know me, I can talk, I've got this. But doing it and dealing with people and their emotions was a lot harder than I thought.
Okay.
And again, and then I had to go research it. And it goes back to what I was speaking about. Where does confidence comes from? It comes from competence.
Ooh.
How long does it take you to get competent? It's taken us years to get competent in MC work. And allowing myself to really, I'm growing, I'm learning, and I've got to be okay with that.
Okay.
So that's what it is. It's a skill.
I found where we need to circle back on.
What's the
The smiling thing.
Yeah.
It circles back to how you're talking about how we are really good at projection. Even when I'm not confident, I know how to put that smile on my face. I know how to look confident.
Yep.
And there's also that saying of faking it till I make it. And that's something I feel if I just smile and look confident, everyone's going to sort of tag along to it as well. Yeah, so I don't know. Is that something you would agree on?
Definitely. And we know how we operate when we're confidently. And it goes back to some of these NLP processes. You tap into that person. You pull out those behaviors because you know they've worked for you in the past. They represent you when you're at your best.
Yeah. Do these moments of insecurity and imposter syndrome, do they come a lot, or is it
Getting much lesser now.
Yeah,
Because you got to learn your way through it.
for sure. I got a little surprise for you.
Okay.
So I'm doing a surprise for everyone on the show. And for moments like this, I reached out to some people in your circle. And I asked them,
My armpits have got really sweaty. What? Oh no, I'm starting to sweat.
How has, Jenny impacted your lives with what she does? And the first person that I reached out to is one of your oldest friends, and someone that I feel really values your friendship. Her name is Masuna Rita Sharif. You might know her.
Yeah. Yes.
So this is what she had to say about you.
Hello, Jenny Benny. We've known each other for more than 15 years now. We started as colleagues, and then your cousin married my brother. So now we have no choice but to be stuck with each other. So I just want to say that I truly appreciate you as a friend. You've always been the one person that I could talk to about anything and everything. Even until now, we hardly meet, but we still stalk each other's IG stories, and conversations just follow after that. Yeah, if you remember, we've laughed and cried together, and I miss the days when we used to hang out for hours by the side of the office drain and just talk and enjoy the fresh air. So Jen, I really miss you, and I wish you all the best always. And I just want to end this with, it's gonna rain, Jane!
It's gonna rain, Jane! Oh my goodness, I'm getting a bit emotional. I think, as I just clean up my eyes a little bit.
I think it's with the journey that we go on when we're self-employed, when we're freelancing, it's so easy to feel like you're not making an impact.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
This is why I'm emotional right now. I was in the car yesterday, Naz, and I said in the car, please give me a sign that I'm on the right track. And that's why that's affected. Oh my God, really now? But that's really what happened. I was like, tell me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, where are the tissues?
I was like,
girl?
I was really struggling yesterday. Please give me a sign.
You're gonna have to throw it. I hope there's two,
man. Let's share this.
Jeez.
Because it's hard, Naz. You never
Thank
know.
you, Jen. Thank you.
Nobody tells you you're on the right track.
Yeah, it's so easy to just, is it worth doing what I'm doing or chasing what I'm chasing
It's
after?
so, am I on the right track? Oh gosh.
So I want you to know that these are the moments that I want to remind people. When you were on a journey like this is something you can sort of look back on and be like, you know what, I'm making something. People are rooting for me. There are people in my corner. So then I also reached out to someone who just started working with you by the name of Hashima Sanusi.
Oh, yes.
So I got her to, she actually came up with a 2-minute recording and I said, yo, beautiful, but we gotta get it done in 60 seconds for Jen. So this is what she had to say about you.
Working with Jenny has been a wonderful experience, and it has been quite insightful. Being in a workshop and working alongside her, it gave me a glimpse of how she is in her element and how much enthusiasm that she shows when she's doing a workshop. She doesn't hold back when it comes to telling stories about her life, and it's evident that a lot of people can relate to what she has to say. So, she's getting her messages across. And, one thing that's admirable about Jen is that she's quite open and empathetic, and she's a gem to work with because it's making my work much more easier. And we talk, we make sure that, that her workshop is running smoothly. So, yeah, she's really great. She's an awesome person to work with anyway. So, yeah.
So it seems like you've left an impact on someone who just started working with you as well. It's so quick for you to sort of make people feel good, make people feel confident, show them what they can be. And I thought that was like, I was like,
Just wait, does everybody cry? Is this going to happen on all shows? Goodness me.
I just want to leave you with a moment. Like if I could give a gift to anyone that comes onto the podcast, is I want you to walk away knowing that there are people out there rooting for you. There are people that you've impacted. There are people who are living their best life. I'm prime example with you of advice that you might have given them, or a level of professionalism that you've shown.
I really appreciate that, Naz, and I think I just need it at this point in time, and it's come at such an important time, and I'm really thankful for that.
Then we have one last person we reached out to as well. She
do I need another one? No, do I need an armpit pad?
This one is from forgot. Let me just pull that up. Very unprofessional of me. I apologize. From a relative of yours, the name of Ding.
Ding. Oh gosh.
Don't worry, she didn't swear on this one. So
she must have only 5 words to say without swearing.
So this is what Ding had to say about you.
How has Jenny's work impacted my life? So I believe I've always been your number one fan, and probably I'm your first fan ever. Hello. I've watched you do everything, okay? So from your first radio show, reading the news, your robot talk show, hosting Bintang RTB, even being Tigger. I would even come and hang around backstage at your shows just to watch you work the crowd. And every single time, without fail, you're always all in, full-heartedly going for it. You're funny and smart, always say the right thing. But what I truly love is how you always think on your feet when there's a problem backstage. You keep on smiling and you make it work, right? And then, so what? You can't do the 9 to 5. You don't want to, right? So you made it work. You always make your life work for you. And that's what I think is inspiring. You're one of my only kakas, and I've always respected how you handle your journey. Love you.
She called me this morning. I ignored her call. Now I feel really bad. I was getting my makeup on and she called and I had to I can't take that right now. That's lovely. And these are really important people to me.
For sure.
And I think you've chosen them really interestingly as well.
I mean, I wanted to reach out to people in your circle that have saw you when you were at your start, saw you from, your first day, Crystal FM, or someone who just started working with you, just to give you an idea. And if there are ever days where you feel like, I don't know if I'm doing is worth it, or if what I'm doing is impactful enough. There's 3 people there, another 3 more people in this room that have already been impacted with what you do and all the messages that you spread out, man.
That means the world to me. Honestly, it does.
I'm just, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be on this chair, doing this podcast right now. So I'm always, there you go. We just, we wouldn't be, that was Yaya, by the way, who doesn't have, we need to get her a mic, I think, just for the fact checks and stuff like that. But like, I think, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have taken that plunge. We wouldn't have had this conversation. And yeah, so I'm personally, that is exactly why I wanted you to be the first guest on our show, because, without you, there wouldn't be the show. You're definitely one of the people that pushed me off that cliff to be like, all right, let's take this jump. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Are we done yet? I'm
sorry. Okay. Let's bring this whole conversation full circle.
Yeah.
I do want this podcast to be a database for people 10, 20, 30 years from now, whether they are pursuing the hustle, whether they're chasing their dreams and their passions, whether they're about to start a dream business, whether they're juggling, multiple things. What is one tip or one advice you could leave these people with?
I think just don't take yourself so seriously every day. We make choices, go with them. Don't resist yourself all the time. Just really don't take things so seriously.
I think so too. I think sometimes we're all like, oh, I wish I made this decision. And I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, now you know that stuff like this don't work out, and to pivot when you need to. Jen, that's it.
I'm still emotionally reeling from that. I want to say thank you. I love the artwork. I love the vibe. I love the fact that I get to be here with you, that we get to come here on a Wednesday morning at some...
That is just like you said just now.
Like at 9:45, yeah, we're all free. And this really also demonstrates some of the decision we made. And we chose this. We chose this, and sometimes it feels great and other times it doesn't. Today it's felt great.
Thank you. It's felt great. That's mean?
It feels great. That's mean we're in the right place. God, English lessons.
I got it. Do you remember there's a cartoon? This is perfect way we're gonna end it.
Yeah, okay.
There's a cartoon back in the day called Jem and the Holograms.
Yeah.
Jen and the Holograms.
We've got it right.
Done deal.
And there's a song. Truly outrageous. Truly outrageous. Am I the only one singing that song? We should say goodbye now, Nasri.
Thank you so much, Jen. That's it. We're done.
Thank you.
Oh,
sweaty in the pits.
Thank you so much, Jen.